Hello and welcome to my second ever knitting podcast. I'm so excited that you're here, and I'm very excited to show you my finished object. I have one finished object and a half, if you can count it like that, and I have one whip to show you. And let's just start. I couldn't wear the finished object, the first one, because I put it on. I tried wearing it and I just got too warm too fast, and you'll see why. But this is the Sophie top. It's not the Sophie top, it's actually the Sadie top. I completely said it wrong, so please just keep that in mind. Thank you. By Woozy by Céline. She's an amazing YouTuber and she also started making clothes, and I'm really glad that I made this pattern because I've not seen many things similar to this except for the Aura top. But you'll see that the construction of this compared to the Aura top is much different. But I couldn't wear this top currently because it's a bit too warm, and this is made with one strand of mohair on 6mm needles. The suggested needle size is 6.5, but I just don't own 6.5mm needles in my kit, so I used 6, which I thought would be the closest needle that I have. And I'm not sure if I'm on gauge. Honestly, it was really hard. I did make a gauge swatch. It was very hard to measure the gauge because this is a weirdly stretchy fabric, and I found it hard to have it in a neutral position to measure it. But yeah, I still really love the fit, and I think it turned out exactly as it's supposed to. So I could measure my gauge right now, but I'm a bit too lazy to do that. So I used 6mm needles, and I think I used 8mm needles for the cast on and for the bind off. The yarn that I used is Knitting for Olive Soft Silk Mohair in the color Cloud. This is the same color that the designer used for her sample, and I thought it looked great, so I just bought it as well. And it's not exactly white, because if you compare it to my shirt here, overexposure, it's not exactly white. It's slightly pink in some colors, slightly purple in some. It's quite an interesting color, and I really like it. It's neutral enough to basically pair with everything, but I am a bit mindful of wearing it with black because of it does shed a little bit. But I think I've heard the Knitting for Olive soft silk mohair shedding a little bit. Damn. But it just sheds first, and then it's supposed to calm down after some time. This is a great pattern. It really reminds me of the pattern for the blouse number 1, which I've made before. So it's basically a contiguous saddle shoulder. So you have this stockinette part here, and you increase on both sides, and then you start increasing for the sleeve, and then you do some raglan increases at the bottom as well to shape the armhole. And I did do a few modifications for this. I did not want bell sleeves because I already thought these sleeves are quite wide. As you can see, that's quite a wide sleeve. So I decided to just make the sleeve straight. I wanted a wide sleeve, but not a bell sleeve. So I just made them straight. 0 decreases, no increases. And that was the most lovely sleeve knitting experience ever. I like knitting sleeves, but then you have to make sure you count every 10 rows and do an increase, which can get a bit annoying for me, at least. So yeah, that's what I did with the sleeves. And I also made a modification on the bottom. As you can see, the back is much longer than the front on the bottom. Even though there are short rows at the top, I thought when I tried on the top, when I was working on the body, I thought that the back was a bit high for me, and I've noticed that in quite a few patterns that I've made, but I've never gotten out of my way to correct that with using German short rows or any short rows. So I basically did a short row here, like here, and then symmetrical on the other side, and then went 5 stitches past that, did another short row, went 5 stitches past here, basically did a few rounds of short rows to give me a bit more fabric in the back, which you can see here. It does create a little bit more fabric so that the bag doesn't ride up, I guess. The bind off is not my favorite. I don't know, I wasn't sure what tension to use. Like, should I do it loosely? Should I do it tightly? So I did it variatingly, which I variated my tension sometimes, which I guess is not the best idea if you want like a clean outcome. But okay, it blocked out perfectly. Like, it was rolling up before, which I was surprised by because this is supposed to be a non-rolling bind off. My arm hurts because I'm holding this up so much. This is supposed to be a non-rolling bind off, and it didn't roll, but it just folded up, and I blocked it out by weighing it down there so that it wouldn't roll up. And yeah, I've worn this a few times already, and it was crazy. It was because I told you I got really warm right now, but I think it's just that type of day. But the times that I wore this, it was maybe 17 to 20 degrees outside, so not that cold. And I just wore a little tank top under, and then this on top, and some linen pants. And I love how it looks when the color of the tank top just peeks through, adds a little pop of color. But even if the tank top, so I wore even like a tank top that I'm a bit uncomfortable with how short it is, I felt safe wearing this on top. I didn't feel overexposed, it just felt perfect. So I'm really happy about this. I think I'll be wearing it a lot during the fall transition period. And then it might be a bit too cold because you can't feel all of the wind that blows through these holes, but then it keeps you warm, so it's a weird dynamic if it's windy. I think this is it for this top. My next finished object, which I am counting as a half of the finished object, and you might know why, you might have a clue why. It's because I finished these socks that I've been making for quite some time. Let me move a bit to this way. I finished these socks, and in the last video I asked you guys for some help on how I should go about this because the foot part was too long. And I asked if I should do like surgery in the middle and pick up my stitches and undo a bit and then Kitchener stitch it together. And somebody mentioned that the Kitchener stitch isn't the strongest, and having it here might not be, you know, the best place if you want a durable sock. I do intend to wear these socks as a house sock, a cozy house sock. So that wouldn't have been that big of a problem. I wouldn't wear these in shoes. I think they're a bit too thick. But what I decided to do is I basically shortened the toe. If you saw in the last video, and I might have some photos, I'm not sure, the toe looked really spiky. It had like a few more decreases, so it looked like quite funny, I must say. It looked like so I decided to just take off some of the toe. It looks a bit more like trapezoid now, like a trapezoid, but it did shorten the foot. That was the hardest thing that I've done recently. Picking up stitches in 2x2 rib is awful. And the way I Kitchener stitched it together, I used a video that I found for Kitchener stitching 2x2 rib together, which was very useful. But the thing that bothers me is that I think I didn't line it up correctly. So if you can see, it's offset by 1. So whereas before my sock started off with the knit columns like running down smoothly one into the other, here they're offset by 1. I really don't care. It's my sock. Nobody's gonna, except me, nobody's gonna see it up close. So I'm happy about this decision that I made because I really didn't want to go back and basically undo the sock. This is the marker of where I was in my last podcast, so I didn't want to undo all of this, all of the heel, basically, because it's a lot of work, you know. I didn't want to undo it. So I just decided to try this, and if that didn't work, then I would have had to probably just put this in hibernation forever. But yeah, so I put, as you can see, I have a little lifeline up here. It's actually dental floss that I used because it's so thin. And it glides nicely on like through the yarn without snagging on anything. But I used this lifeline just in case that I ran out of yarn as I was working this up, this last part. This is a toe up sock, by the way. I used the lifeline just in case I ran out of yarn, so I could go back and not have to pick up stitches, but actually just use the lifeline. This is how much yarn I have left over. The littlest bit. And I have some left over as well from the taking off the toe. But I think this much is actually, it's fine. I wasn't sure how much one row uses, so I was afraid to go too far. But yeah, this is the progress basically that I've made since the last podcast. I loved knitting on this, but I did have some problems with my neck hurting while knitting, and I think that's because of my current whip. But I love knitting on this. I missed knitting on this. I haven't knitted on it in quite a while, but I'm so excited to have this finished. This is basically my first self-drafted thing, my first self-drafted project. It's a toe-up sock. I wanted a 2x2 rib sock, as you can see, and I wanted a heel flap and gusset construction, and I did manage to do that, and it fits pretty well. I should include some photos, and I really wanted these socks to be as long as possible. Like, I wanted the cuff part to be as long as possible, which I managed to do with that's why I wanted to do a toe-up sock, so I could use mostly the whole ball of yarn, because I now have another ball of yarn. It's drop snored in the color 21, and I'm gonna cast these on pretty soon. I don't want to cast them on currently because I'm gonna be flying soon, and I'm afraid of them taking my DPNs while I already have a project on them. So I might cast on in the airport after I get through security, in case they don't take my DPNs. I don't know. We'll see. Hopefully they don't, because I don't want to buy a new pair. But yeah, these are super comfortable and very cozy, which is so exciting for fall. These are like the perfect fall sock, aren't they? But yeah, I'm glad. I think once I'm gonna be doing the second sock, I'm gonna write down stuff better, because I checked my notes app where I wrote a little note for myself for when I'm gonna be making the second sock. I was not very descriptive. I was like, cast on, how much, what kind of cast on, I don't know. So I had to go back in my memory and remind myself of what the hell happened. So yeah, I'm gonna be casting on the second sock soon, and I just love knitting socks. It's one of my simple pleasures in life, because you can take it in anywhere, and it's so tiny, and it actually goes fast usually. This 2x2 rib is a bit slow. And one more thing, I did mention this last time, but I am using combination ribbing. So on my pearls, I wrap the yarn the other way than you're usually used to, which twists the stitch, and then in the next row, I purl my pearls through the back loop. It's very easy, and it's made my ribbing so much neater than it would usually be. As you can see on the heel here, I did not do the combination. Where is it? I did not do the combination knitting, and it's a bit less neat than up here, for example. I also don't have that much problem with laddering anymore, knock on wood, because I don't know, I think I've just gotten used to pulling the yarn tight on the second and third stitch once you change needles and DPNs. I really like DPNs, but I'm a bit afraid of trying color work on DPNs because I'm afraid of how my tension is going to hold up doing that. So that was it for my works in progress, and now I would love to show you my current whip, which has been a bit tasking on my hands. Not my hands. It is a bit tasking on my hands, but I try to stretch, like I do a row and then I stretch my hands because I've had problems before with my hands hurting and I had to stop knitting for a while, and that was devastating. And for this one, my back, like the back of my neck, it gets a really bad pain, so I really try to restrain myself and maybe do 1 or 2 rows on this one per day. I really don't need a summer t-shirt right now, so I'm really not in a big rush to finish this right now. But this is my progress on my Tombow tee by Florence Miller. And this is supposed to be a striped pattern, but I just decided to omit the stripes and use this gorgeous navy color. The color is, I believe navy. I'll put it on the screen if I'm wrong. I don't have the label right now with me, but the color is beautiful, and it's slightly variegated because this is 60% cotton and 40% linen yarn. And I think that's also why my hands are hurting a bit, because that's quite a big percentage of linen. And also cotton is not like very well known for its, you know, softness on, like it's not really well known for being good on the hands for knitting. But this is lovely. This is beautiful. Let me try it on. I haven't got much to say about this yet because not like I can't knit on it that often. The only one thing that I have noticed is, can you see here, when I do the increases for the saddle part, like on the side, they kind of bunch up because you do an increase on every row. They kind of bunch up, and I really hope that blocks out. But I've seen people having problems with that before. Let me not put this off, actually. I've seen people having problems with that before, like, you know, on the back of the sweater, when you increase, the stitch is kind of bunching up. And I just hope that blocks out, honestly. I think it's gonna fit really nicely, and I'm really excited to have it, but there's no rush, basically. But I have noticed that my tension is changing quite a lot as I'm knitting this, especially when I went from flat knitting to knitting in the circle. My tension changed a lot. I don't know if you can notice, but basically from here on, that's in the round and this is flat. So I'm like really confused. Why does the flat knitting look more perfect? I'm used to rowing out with flat knitting, not in this, like, not circular knitting. I don't know. I'm a bit confused. But yeah, this pattern is really nicely explained. I like it a lot. And I'm excited to have it because if I ever want to make a striped shirt, I have this pattern already. And if I want to make maybe like a long sleeve version, I can just make the sleeves longer. Also, the yarn is Önling number 21. I've already told you the composition, but yeah, that's the yarn. And this is my Tombow tee by Florence Miller. Now for my final, I don't have any acquisitions currently, but I should be getting some yarn for the cable knit sweater that I was talking about in my previous video, where I was picking a pattern for my potential first cable knit sweater. And I so I decided on the Dagmar sweater by Petite Knit, and I would like to buy the yarn pretty soon. So I'm really very excited about that. You know, who doesn't like buying new yarn? And yeah, and usually, it's my second episode. In the previous podcast, I mentioned a few podcasters that I really enjoy at the end, and I would like to do the same today. And my first podcaster that I would like to mention is plest.knit. She's so inspirational to me because she's studying medicine and still knitting so much beside it, and that's just great to see that it's very possible to do. And I like how she shows, so her last video was showing her knit fails, which is such a good thing to see. Like, it's great to see that not every project is a win, and that you don't have to feel bad about it. Yeah, I love her. I really love her videos, and I would like to recommend them to you. The second podcaster that I would like to mention is Nestled in Knits. She's a French knitter, as she mentions in every video, and I find that so cute. But she basically does a lot of test knitting, which is very entertaining to watch. And she does like a full price breakdown of every garment that she makes, and she uses beautiful yarns. So it's like lovely to watch, I must say. And the last podcaster that I would like to mention is Yvette Makes Art. And she's also a very new knitter. And I think just the patterns that she chooses and the yarns that she chooses are so cute. And she also does she has a summer top series where she dedicates one whole video to each top that she's knitted this summer, and I find that very useful because I knit the same sweater, the same top as she did, so the sabai top. So it's very nice to watch her do it as well. Please let me know any of your thoughts in the comments. Maybe tell me what you're knitting on. Is it difficult or is it very relaxing? I would love to know. And I'll see you in my next video. Thank you. Bye.